Welcome back, everyone. We're shifting into gear for our next game between first and second place. It's Immortals versus CounterLogic Gaming. Now, with their win last week, Immortals already secured themselves a spot in the playoffs, but there are still important stakes at play for Immortals in this game.
Yeah, it's the chance to hit up a win streak, right? We already know that Hootie and Rainover are going for 1 million games right now, but this would, if they win here, they tie C9's record at 13. I mean, Immortals are clearly, I think, the most dominant team North America's ever had, and now it's just ride out the season.
Exactly. They can tie with this win the all-time win record in streak in North America, 13 games, which is insane. This team looks unstoppable, and the question has always been, who's going to stop these guys, and who's also going to stop Hootie and Rainover, because they've won 32 regular season games in a row, which is insane. People talk about Hootie tilting, and honestly, that was like spring Hootie, and maybe a little bit at Worlds, because this guy, this is the best of ones, and people talk about how volatile they are. The consistency is insane.
What I would do to win 32 games in a row in solo queue.
Yeah.
I'd be master in no time.
Never have I ever.
Yeah, exactly, right? But these guys can say they've done it on the LCS stage. Anyway, Immortals will be playing for some impressive records, but that doesn't mean CLG are going to give them up easily. And Adrian even said in his interview last week that CLG had the best shot at beating them. Now, last time these teams faced off, CLG brought a strong early game presence and gave Immortals one of their longest games this season, but it wasn't quite enough.
Yeah. CLG's early game is very good, right? Their overall way to play the game is really, really strong, but they got, kind of by their own admission, too excited about the game. A couple of over-aggressive dives, you know, a little bit of ludicrous chasing going on, and they let the game slip away, which is partially credit to Immortals for holding on so well, but also, yeah, okay, CLG shore up some weaknesses, maybe you're up there.
Yeah, that was that Darshan on Rise.
The overcommit.
Too far forward because they
turret.
had that. They had numbers advantage, and that was just a lapse in judgment, exactly. And CLG, I wonder if they're going to have a lapse in judgment in this game from the start, because CLG, they like to do their own thing. I want to see them try something new, maybe, but is it just go back to the drawing board or go back to what CLG was good at? Because now they're going to get red side, pick and ban. Make sure you set up your top laner to counter Hootie, because Hootie is going to counter you if you don't do that, and then you're going to be losing multiple sides of the map.
Right, we've talked all the time about the focus in the top lane there for Immortals, that Hootie's champion pool allows him to counterpick if you give him the opportunity to. So ideally, CLG can play around that counterpick in this game. I think the final point to recognize here is that both of these teams, and in a sense it was showcased in the first game, do have a fair amount of macro focus. Yeah. In contrast to the previous game, both of these teams understand how to play the lane swap. So we could find a very interesting early, budding of strategies here between these two teams.
Yeah, Immortals one of the fastest starting teams to put a bunch of new players together, but all of them have learned how to play the game properly. Of course, yes, they're all veterans, but the fact that it's come together so well, props to them. Meanwhile, CLG, they kept all the voices on the team from last split. They were already the macro team in NA. So yeah, both these teams coming in very hard in the spring split. Very smart players, very smart teams, and now you got to see how well they play it.
All right, Seed 2 challenging the undefeated Seed 1. CLG have a tough challenge ahead of them, but Immortals have shown some weaknesses in their most recent games. As we head over to the caster desk, let's hear from Wild Turtle on Immortals' recent performances.
We're not as clean as we used to be, and that's probably due to because we've been underestimating our opponents a little bit, and they've also been playing better, and I think it's a combination of both. But we definitely need to respect our opponents more and play our game.
Definitely something Immortals said would not happen, but it's good that they are recognizing that it happened.
It's hard to not let it happen when all you do is win.
This is true.
Beaten 12 teams, like, well, we made that mistake, but we weren't punished for it. So let's just, try. We'll fix it next time, you keep saying. But sometimes actually losing is the best way of getting better. So they've plateaued a little bit, and they need to find a new way to improve.
You never learn when you win. Sometime. So let's check out the game. Let's see if it can be that first time Immortals doesn't get the W. On the blue side, it's Immortals. It's going to be Hootie in the top lane, Rainover in the jungle, Pobelter in mid, Wild Turtle at 80 carry, and Adrian at support with Coach Dylon.
And on the red side, no longer sporting their Valentine's Day red and pink uniforms, it's CounterLogic Gaming. We've got Darshan in the top lane, Xmithy in the jungle, Hootie in the mid lane, Stixay as the 80 carry, Aphromoo as the coach, and Zix. Call up those picks and bans as the coach.
We'll see. We may see them going back. They did have that 2-0 week. Maybe it was the jerseys. Maybe it was the team. We'll figure out today.
It's all about the jerseys, man. No, really, though, this will be a big matchup because CLG's last game against Immortals, they had a pretty decent opportunity to win.
No, that's true.
They have been playing well as of late. They were 2-0 last week, and we say this every week. Analyst X says it as well. there is a chance that CLG could take down Immortals and hand on their first loss.
There is a chance. It was a week 4 against Immortals, and it was a different time. That was a Ryze, Sicilian, Lucian game, and Graves in the jungle with Braum at support. So we haven't really seen those picks since week 4. See what CLG has for the mix today. The Callista Lulu already taken out. Cog will still follow. And along with that, Nidalee. Wow, they are just hitting hard.
No hesitation in this ban phase so far. A lot of things still left available.
Mid taking quite a hit there. And it looks like it's Rainover. Really wants priority pick here. He takes the Gragas. It's been one of the higher pick now. Junglers ever since the changes, and it will be their first.
Specifically against Xmithy, I think it's higher value. Something that Xmithy played last week was Gragas and Nidalee. Both games were very successful. CLG banned the Nidalee, so Immortals couldn't first pick it. Then Immortals just first picks the other contested jungler in this matchup. Oh, Xmithy-Uter! That is something I didn't think I would see, actually.
Well, you know what? He's actually been doing that to us a lot lately. And the team said it as well. It's what Xmithy's been playing for us. And now Xmithy's kind of getting to play what Xmithy plays. And that's why we're seeing the diversity.
Yeah, I mean, so normally I would say, if this is Xmithy from a few weeks ago, as Immortals just locking in their standard Soraka picks that they always do.
Soraka Lucian.
I would say that Uter would be a terrible champion for Xmithy because Xmithy's old style is low farm, vision heavy, allow the other people to carry and just kind of be that tank in the team fights. Right. Whereas Udyr, I feel like in order to succeed, needs to be very selfish, apply a lot of pressure, be willing to invade, and kind of dictate the pace of the game on his own. But last week, when Xmithy played a Nidalee game where he went 5-0-8, he was highest gold, highest damage for all of CLG, which had never happened before for an Xmithy game. So the team is clearly now ready for him to take a larger amount of the resources, and they trust him to use those resources.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to be done as Udyr, I think, for the most success.
And getting on this team actually isn't that hard for him. Seeing that this is Adrian, you would have expected maybe a Janna with that pick. But as you said, Immortals just doing their picks. They kind of just went with the roll, not even looking over at CLG's comp on that first 2 picks. So, looks like Xmithy may actually have a pretty decent time getting to his targets. There's still 2 more picks here for Immortals. And we see the Bard and LeBlanc picked up for Huhi and Aphromoo. That'll make it hard to chase people.
Yeah.
Get the Lux.
Also, if we see the Quinn for Huni, not necessarily being able to see where you're going, will also hurt. It's a blind Quinn. This is something Huni has played a lot of. It's been banned fairly frequently against him.
That could be a skin. Bat Quinn. Go ahead.
Black Quinn. Now I wonder what Darshan will play against it. I mean, Fiora is up, but Quinn has typically been his pick against Fiora. So... Pantheon. Yeah, we're both thinking it was like he played last week. He played Pantheon last week.
He said he still has that Spartan lingering inside, and he brings it out sometimes.
Pantheon wouldn't be bad for trying to jump on top of Soraka. However, Soraka can just put the silence on the middle of his drop zone.
Equinox that area.
Stop him from being able to get out of it. So maybe not that great. Ooh, is he going to go for it anyway?
Okay. Fiora's been finding herself on the bench. Looks like on the bench this game for Darshan. He gets another champion he can almost carry the game on if he gets going that well. We'll see if Xmithy has a bit of visitation rights towards top lane to get that going. You can't really stop both of these champions from jumping on you as Huni. You're going to vault one. One's going to be able to pretty much dash and catch you. So if they do prioritize that top lane, it's not a swap. That could be the trouble they provide.
Yes, a lot of very squishy targets on Immortals, but a lot of pick and kite potential there as well. Huhi's had a lot of success on the Blanc. We'd have to say Aphromu's Bard, good at catching out squishies, and also would buy a lot of time for Udyr to get close to people for a bear stance if he can actually get the Bard ultimate down on a lot of people. I'm cautiously optimistic about Xmithy's Udyr in this game. I think it's a situation that is a little bit more primed for success than picking it against Janna. But why do people keep picking Udyr against Immortals, the team that doesn't lose? I want to see Udyr win.
I don't know. It's kind of like they have everything already going down the right track to kind of throw kiting into the fight isn't too hard for them. It's already second nature. Yeah. It's going to be tough, but it's going to be a good game. As we head into that game, let us know if you think Immortals will tie the longest winning streak in the NALCS, or if Counter Logic Gaming will get to play spoiler. Tweet your predictions to @LOL Esports with the hashtag IMT win or the hashtag CLG win. And we are going to get those votes tallied up as we get into game. You can see the markers on top, CLG versus Immortals on the right. We'll switch it up on stage. Immortals versus CLG, and we are on the Rift for Game 3 of the day.
Yes, we are. So, the upset could be primed. Second Uter we've seen in the North American LCS. Immortals, all picks we have seen before.
Cull as well for Turtle. We've seen this before. Even after a first buy of Doran's, he would go back and sometimes grab that Cull.
The Huni chant.
Right off the bat, the Huni chant, it will start. And he will most likely make plays this game. It is just in his blood to do so.
Yeah, so much top priority for Immortals in most of their games. And this will be a massive challenge for Darshan, especially if he has to play a 1v1 lane. Because Udyr does not operate very well when he has to primarily camp one lane. He has Phoenix stance early. It's actually going to be a lot of damage on him. Here we go.
I like it already.
Yeah, but overall, it looks like we're setting up mostly for standard lanes, unless they want to swap back. They are actually swapping back, but it's a blind mirrored swap back. So they both traded harass. They're thinking, big mind games going on here. But I think what Immortals wants is standard lanes. It's so Rainover can focus Huni's lane, while Xmithie is trying to farm an advantage in the jungle before he ends up fighting. And Immortals has won this mind game as of now.
All right, I thought they were going closer. Turtle just wanted to peek in, make sure they have it. So it is going to be that matchup that you called. I am also happy about that. I want to see some action between these lanes. Stixace on that Ezreal. We've seen the highlight reels on Reddit and also in the LCS games a few times. We'll see if he can continue to promote that play that he practices. Turtle gets to lane first here, but we did see that take of Krugs by CLG.
Interesting here, actually. CLG started at Grob side with their jungle top laner, whereas Immortals started Krug side. So if we're thinking about the first potential gank, Xmithie could beat them to the spot, because he will be able to get top lane beforehand. But Immortals is just playing so passive in this top lane with the Cull and Soraka. But they're deciding to do Gromp. If Aphromoo steals this, will be heartbreaking for Immortals. He actually has the angle.
He has time.
He has the angle. Oh, he didn't get it.
No.
Oh my God, it was Adrian. Adrian with the banana.
Gotta see. It's like, I have the stale one. I'll use it. It does more damage. We gotta steal it.
The investment that they put into that Gromp would have been, that would have been laying over almost.
Look how it happens though. They trade each other. They have the health from Soraka. If you didn't know where they went, you had no idea that they did Gromp just now. And they got themselves back into that experience trough a bit and leveled out of it. So we have Udyr going back now. Smithy through his first reel of the jungle. Feels like he's going to go back and get himself some items. And you see here the matchup, Darshan versus Huni coming into this one.
Yeah, both of these guys have had a lot of success on these champions. Obviously, Darshan's been able to get a little bit higher of a farm tick. So both these guys have, you know, high priority on their jungle. Rainover actually smites early because he's out of mana on that camp. So this is really dangerous for Rainover, and that sets him far behind in the jungle. This is all very good actually for CLG. Rainover normally, in almost all of his games, has a big pressure advantage over the enemy jungler where he can out-farm and outpace him.
Absolutely.
But if Xmithie's able to get ahead of him now, since he just got vision of Rainover low, knowing he has to recall in the jungle, would actually give Xmithie time to invade and maybe even counter jungle Rainover, which is exactly what Udyr wants to do.
Zooming back up the Turtle with the Soraka passive. Should be able to stay safe for now, but CLG playing their game of getting rotations on, kind of in the minds of their opponent, saying there may be two more behind us. And they're getting Immortals to step off the turret just a little bit. Darshan has teleported back to lane here, so Huni is actually still getting himself an advantage, and Darshan already backing. Loosen Singularity to the attack. Pole Belter keeps hitting that Thunderlords when he can get the proc up. Very easy to do with Lux.
Smithy as well got some deep wards, and I thought he was going to go up for a gank onto Pobelter since his cooldowns were down, but so were Huhi's cooldowns, and they didn't have actual eyes on Gragas. No early edges here for Immortals. Not that they're playing for massive early edges. They start a call with the Soraka lane, so that will give them a lead as long as they keep up in CS. But it's really this bottom lane that's been so aggressive, and mainly Darshan is able to go aggressive because they've had eyes on Reignover for so long, and they're going to look to dive Huni here.
Huni just used that Q. He should have blind up in a few more. He's going to want to use that vault at the right time. He uses it to get back flashes. That's exactly what I was talking about. He wouldn't have one to get away from the other. He almost does it, but goes down in the end. The perseverance of CLG. Reignover trying to find the fight. This could actually be a 2v1. He knows he doesn't have the abilities to go back into the fight, and Reignover gets himself killed. Now we'll fight the mid lane. Huhi onto Pobelter. That's low mana onto Huhi. He may have one more distort in a few seconds, but they decide to back off on the image. Huni is going to be teleporting to bot lane, and that's all she wrote.
Wow, such a massive play for CLG there with 2 kills going down onto Fiora, and it was really just they beat them to the spot, and Immortals tried to make a play when one wasn't there.
Yeah.
Huni, he couldn't avoid the dive. He got chunked too low because he was too aggressive in lane without jungler support. That has been something that's happened to Huni in a lot of games where he gets over aggressive in lane. He just hasn't been heavily punished for it because he'll then make a roam play later in the game and make up for it. This time, though, Xmithy punishes. Reignover goes hard for Darshan. He was thinking double kill, but he didn't have the burst to finish him off, and then it allowed a very low health Udyr to cycle through his abilities and finish him off.
Take a look again.
Yeah, watch this again. Huni gets the blind down, so he can't get the right bear stance off, and then Huni tries to flash for the kill, but Xmithy did turtle stance tank for Xmithy, and it was very key that Darshan flashed out of the turret right there, so he keeps a little bit of health. Reignover then has to fly into a bunch of minions. The minions do a whole bunch of work on him, and it allows CLG to close in for the double kill. I was expecting Reignover to actually just try and kill Udyr and ignore Darshan entirely, but he ends up just getting killed himself.
Darshan on the Fiora, the last pick for these guys. They put it into his hands, and once again, he gets all those kills on a silver platter. And still, as you're saying, Xmithy being aggressive, knowing they can push this advantage slightly, not get too much out of it, but it leads to more in the end. Huni back to lane. Remember, we just saw him teleport down, and then he died, so he was forced to fly back up here.
It's a level 6 Fiora right now, and they know the Quinn has no flash, and they just pushed Reignover back, so Xmithy's going for him.
He's like, I'm gonna go fast! He didn't go too fast. The bear stance will be up in a little bit, but it has to tick down on the same member, so Xmithy doesn't have the crowd control. Huhi on Mission Impossible here. Looks like he may actually decide to change his mind.
Yeah, we're seeing Reignover pushed out of his own jungle for pretty much the first time all split.
Yeah.
But he still has a CS advantage, so Xmithy needs to make sure he doesn't forget to farm here. Whoa, Wild Turtle.
Great focus. My eyes even went to Aphromoo there as Turtle went in melee range of him, but it was still focused onto Stixxay. I don't think he was ready for it either. Blinking red has to be safe in lane. Reignover just wants to get around the map right now, but again, gets closed out. A third kill going over to Darshan as CLG is just controlling the rotations.
Yeah, and Pobelter wasn't even able to get a very strong push mid lane despite a really extended roam from Huhi. He'd already checked down there once, was there again, and you look at that turret and it's barely been scratched by Pobelter. So really CLG playing the lanes better than Immortals is here in a standard setup.
This fight as well, it's going to be difficult when you only got to have to light bind and grab and pick. We talked about the squishy targets. They're not going to be able to stand too long in these fights. They need to get in and get out. So CLG can start all the fights that they want. It's going to be very hard for Immortals coming up into that 20-minute mark.
Oh my god, Xmithy is just camping Huni right now. No mana on him.
No
Rockets
wards.
off on
This
the
ward's going to be late for Huni.
He's got the red buff.
He was trying to use the W. He should be safe on this one.
Smithy could have gone in on that and chunked him pretty low.
I was thinking he would. Maybe he wants to steal the jungle. Maybe they knowingly keep him there and just deny him even more. So he can't just back and go to a different lane. Right now, nothing is Huni's, but he's still keeping up. Look at that, 58 to 52 CS. Keeping himself in range, keeping himself leveled. If the need be is there for his damage, he may be able to provide it in the right fight.
Got to be a little careful. Reignover is chasing him down in the jungle.
Here comes Lux. I don't think Pobelter's going to make it in time. They are trying to get some movement out of Pobelter now. as he's had a bit of a lane with Huhi's rotations getting above him. That just 1 assist, but down in CS for that assist.
Yeah.
3-0 Darshan. Jarm's fist stacking up. He should actually be able to complete that Stairs gauge quite quickly if he decides to, or the rather Titanic.
Yeah, really big credit to CLG right here, because every team has been getting, well, mostly every team has been getting destroyed by the jungle synergy of Reignover and Huni. And instead of shying away from that, CLG has attacked them at their strength. They have just said, we will 2v2 you with Fior Udyr against Gragas Quinn, and we'll win. And they have been able to do that this game, just going standard lanes everywhere else. For a team that we've normally said, you know, why don't they lane swap every game? When CLG lost to TSM, we said, oh, it's because they did standard lane.
Why'd they stop lane swapping?
Yeah, why'd they stop lane swapping? That's their strength. But this is probably kind of an example of why Reignover is so sad this game. This is an example of why. It's because CLG is kind of saying, no, we can do standard lanes. And sometimes it is the proper play. Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Oh, Turtle finishes it off. Nicely called. Great dodges by Stixxay in the early part, but Turtle found his mark. Tempered Fate. It's a long throw from that one. The Hail Mary does not hit Huhi, and this could be bad. To teleport, and he's gone.
Oh, and 2 flashes burned by CLG to try and set up that play. So just after we said, hey, they can play standard lanes, we see a solo kill up top and then 2 flashes burned down bottom. So if there is a window to get back in the game for Immortals, it just, you just saw it. It's a little crack in the window.
Just pry it open a little bit. 3-1. Really can't put it by Immortals, it seems, to pull out those solo kills in lane when you're least expecting it. You feel like the lane's pushed, you're about to back. Stixxay gets caught off guard. And that was Stixxay's double summoners as well, so that leads to the next 3 to 5 minutes of possibility to get back onto a very slippery Ezreal if they choose to do so. Lanes still quite even with the standard. We haven't even seen a turret drop yet, but that I feel will explode if it's going to be CLG first with the amount of money they're piling with the control of this game. Back towards top. It looks like Stixxay is going to get some protection as Alphamu has just been on a very magical journey this entire time.
A lot of roaming around. This is all about just jungle invading right now. That's how the advantages will be created. A very, very fast Udyr. They're trying to close in on him, though.
All right. Huni starts it. That usually means they want to fight, and CLG recognizes the rotation now of Immortals on that one, and that they're getting into a sticky situation. That item finished up from Darshan, though. It's definitely going to put out some damage. Quite an early Titanic.
Yeah, with the Corruption Potion and a Doran's Blade as well. He definitely was building for the lane early with Corruption Potion and Doran's because he knew he had to get so aggressive against Huni. They continue to be very aggressive.
Wait. Oh, my word. Huni's going to get hit. That's going to be Reignover coming in. Darshan should be able to stay for the time being and get the rest of the team there. Pobelter with the help up top. Light binding over the wall, but first the prismatic barrier for safety for his teammate. They back out, and Immortals is really trying to band-aid some situations right now.
Absolutely on the back foot. The Soraka ultimate comes in, which now can prompt a little bit of aggression elsewhere. I do think that... I'm sorry I'm talking about Udyr so much. I do think Xmithie has the opportunity to farm more right now and really become unstoppable, but his latest attempt at dropping that is successful.
The fact that he made it out of that stun is huge. Stixxay may have just gone down. We talked about his summoners waiting to come up. Turtle and Adrian almost acting on it right away. Very explosive here after the start of the game. Was a little slow. We saw a lot of action in the bot lane, but now it is spread everywhere. A lot of bloodthirst. Now towards the top, even more. Alphamu's ultimate is quite down from being used in the bot lane. And does he have the Cosmic Binding? Turtle steps to the left. That was actually huge in positioning to save the kill. And Alphamu will go down.
Yeah, 4-man roam up here from Immortals. Looks like they're going for Darshan too.
Once they get under that turret, they should be all right for a few. They're not even going to have to go that deep. Kills coming in for Immortals. 3-3 now.
So hard to keep this team down. CLG goes for an aggressive move top lane, but they can't focus on the Soraka. Everyone gets healed back up to full, and they turn the fight around. Now they get the turret on top of that, so it equalizes the turrets, plus the kill gold.
Yeah.
You subtract the Dragon from CLG, game's tied.
Like I said, it would have been big if CLG were to grab that first, but they tie it, they grab it at the same time, and that's always Immortals. They know when they need to spark something. They have to rotate pretty far to make this happen.
Yeah, so they knew while Turtle was down Flash and Darshan wanted to go in aggressively with this, but his riposte doesn't hit very well, and then the exhaust as soon as he's under the turret. Aframo as well was pushed really far up looking to follow through in that play, but unless they're stunning Soraka, I don't think they're finishing the kill. They just don't have the damage there. Pobelter also roams up at the end of this one, doesn't land much, but he is able to get the assist, and the rest of the kill could easily be chased down with Wild Turtles Lucian, who, by the way, is very rich, being able to complete his call, staying even in CS, and also pick up 2 kills. Puts him 1,400 gold ahead of Stixxay.
Seems like one moment that Immortals can get a hold on the game, and then they know how to use it. They've got their moment, now can they get a complete hold on the game? Huni already being pushed out of the top. Darshan, he is trying to prevent exactly that from happening. Any type of advantage along with Darshan. Woo! Smithy takes down Huni. Very nicely done. They're going to get bottom turret, but Immortals is going to try to push hard here.
Yeah, the map pressure is fairly equatable right now. They're trying to finish off Pobelter. It's a bit of a turret trade going both sides.
Oh, that hit coming in from Huhi. One more. It's going to be finished off by Aframoose. Huhi was locked down. And even Pobelter's fancy feet could not get him out of that one.
Nice dive there, but all the while, Immortals is pushing the second tier turret. CLG could take the top outer, and the mid outer is probably going down shortly, but even with that kill and the dives, Immortals still staying even in gold.
Just waiting slowly for the turret. Immortals get, like you said, that gold. We'll see what else they can complete. Turtle's been big, so if other people can match that right now, they can start taking fights that they want on their own terms. A Quicksilver Sash immediately here for Huni after that Yo moves, because Huni's always getting himself in trouble.
Yeah, well, he's mainly just looking to cleanse the Fiora ultimate when it comes down.
Right,
because
that is to go far in that split push and cleanse also get away from Smithy in that same zone.
Yeah, being able to get rid of the bear stun as well. Smithy did go to a little bit of power farming. That's why we see him at level 11 and Reignover still at level 9. So he is still activating on Udyr. Probably going Dead Man's Plate after that Runeglaive. Every item that Udyr builds should be move speed related. So he's got the Giant's Belt for health and the Raptor Cloak also for move speed when he's near turrets. Also, Udyr works better with resistances because his Turtle Shield is so repeatable. You get more effective health when you have a lot of armor and magic resist with your shields. So ZZ Raw Portal has 60 armor, 60 magic resist. Works great for those things.
He will be the one to pick it up this game. Don't really have that for Huni or Darshan. We do have pressure on that mid turret, though. Yuki coming in from the side, looking to kind of be a thorn in the pressure of Immortals here, and it does pressure them off the turret. It's not a spectacular wave clear, but they managed to do it.
Yeah, and this game has actually been fairly high action, but the straight initiation in the 5v5 sieges, Immortals has the favorable matchups right there because they can get things with Body Slam Flash, and the way CLG comes in is what? What's Smithy going to do? He's walking in the back of the fight.
He is trying to make a move. He's drawn 2 ultimates now. As Immortals continue to chase out of this one, he's going up towards Fiora. This could also be a close-in. Tempered Fate is up if they can get a nice corridor here. Looks like everybody's going to hold their breath for now.
Yeah. Well, Smithy got a little... He stopped the siege, let's say. He stopped the siege. Using all that move speed. Reignover also had to burn ultimate to try and stop him. But what I was trying to say earlier is that CLG still needs to, even though they did standard lanes, they're getting their advantages via the split push. A 3-kill Fiora. Darshan talks about Fiora hits critical mass and then you can't stop her. That's what he's going to be looking to do this game.
Very close to it. Got a while to go, but I'm sure there's that cash in his pocket for him to be spending. Sitting on, waiting for that Triforce. It's going to be quite big. Teleports up for him. I blinked, I'm sorry, that's my fault. 6 to 3, 18 and a half into the game. Minute 20 on a dragon. Nothing happened here.
Hui is level 12. Level 11, so he has his upgraded distortion, and this is a danger that also happens if your AD carry starts call. You're missing the Doran's Blade health on top of also just not having the levels behind him. Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
For one, Abyssal Scepter took his magic resist down to nearly doing true damage, and yeah, that can happen to a mid-game AD carry. That happened to Mash the other week. Happens to Turtle today.
We'll have to have fast fingers on Adrian for a healer and exhaust next time that goes down. But you also have a Darshan to worry about. He, however, tending to top lane, leaves the 4 members of CLG here to roam down towards bottom. A nice wave crashing into the turret, and if Xmithy can route this, it does not look like Immortals to be able to do too much, but leave it up to Huni. He gets the vault in. A nice bit of pressure onto that wave with Lux. Easy clear.
Yeah, CLG doesn't dive here because they know they have Fiora on the other side. They're just trying to poke them off to make it hard to stop the Fiora from going in. Reignover would actually want to initiate a 5v4 here, but they just can't get the right angle. CLG playing the long game here. Pesky Lux.
Oh, that may make Huni go hard. Huhi goes down as he actually gets himself into position to maybe mess with a few members over the wall.
Yeah, missed position there by Huhi for sure.
Yeah.
They just sent the Lux over, so maybe he thought he was a little bit safe, but yeah, we didn't catch the start of that. It looked like it was a silence or a Gragas that caught him.
Silence to get him caught in. Dragon number 2 going over to CLG. It's been up for actually quite a while. Not too much focus has been going over towards that guy this game. His live time average going up here. 20 minutes on the clock. Turtle, you are still seen. You have to be very careful. That ward behind is not helping him. We'll see that kill over here onto Huhi.
Right, so he's just killing a ward. And Reignover is able to get him with the stun. Then he's silenced on top of the stun, ulted back, still silenced, so he can't use any of his spells to get away.
Silence and then lock too. A little bit of an oopsie. Immortals very happy to pick that one up. Put some more cash in their pocket. Turtle gets a BF sword finally. A little bit more damage for him. He can start to kind of match up against Stixay here. Frozen Fist already done, or Iceborne Gauntlet I should say, and that Man Immune.
Well, Turtle will need to finish his Bloodthirster to avoid getting bursted by the LeBlanc. All that really matters when you have the Soraka on the team is that you can't get bursted down.
Right.
Because then Soraka would be able to save you. The sustained damage from CLG, not incredible, very burst heavy.
Look how hard it is just to even get a lead on this Immortals team. 6-4, Gold's practically even when you have kind of been pushing them back, had the advantage. Usually we see that Immortals has been the highest statistical team in a lot of averages across the board. So even when you're doing well, it's hard to get a lead on them.
Yeah, strong two-man split push though in the bottom lane here. CLG trying to play the numbers advantage throughout the game.
Got that turret.
And I do have to follow up on your point though, Riv. Even in the first game, though, CLG had an advantage on Immortals.
That's true.
They just couldn't keep the advantage on Immortals. When they tried to make an aggressive play, it got turned around very well. So not only can Immortals play well on the front foot, they're pretty good on their back foot, too, when you try and dive in on a Soraka.
Somewhere they haven't really had a chance to be, but can always climb out of it. Immortals very strong and methodical in the way they do things here. Moving as a team now towards the top side, safety in numbers. Knowing that they're moving along with Reignover keeps them basically safe. Wild Turtle not leaving the side of Adrian either after we saw that last debacle getting crushed by Huhi in mid lane. It's also been Huni having to give Darshan a bit of space in this lane now, fully waiting for the wave to push. He can't really stand toe-to-toe. 3-1-1 versus that 0-2-0. Huni he's still trying to play like Huni does. Somehow getting it to work a bit, but he doesn't have those kills that he wants.
Yeah, but he does have the CS, which is pretty important here.
That's right.
180 CS about, well, 179 for Huni. The kill advantage is very real. The gold differential is very real, but he's not completely irrelevant. Interesting choice there with the Phantom Dancer. If he's going to be looking to duel the Fiora, the damage reduction could be important. That's a very real catch. Woo!
It's a quick flashing bear.
Yeah, and Adrian had put the Silence Field to block his retreat instead of putting it directly on top of where he'd be after the Gragas ultimate, so he actually could flash away. Now he's looking to counter jungle. He doesn't get anything. All right.
Well, they know Fiora's in the jungle. You see the ping from Huni as well. They start to move down. They don't want to lose too many resources here, so it's gather for the red. Get that up. They know that CLG is trying to pretty much take anything they can right now and getting away with it. And at this one, though, Huni now tries to fight on. There's the instant cleanse on Grand Challenge. The speed from Darshan to get away with that dash is a bit more than Huni can follow.
Yeah.
Who stays, though? Darshan stays.
Great job of him to kind of block that attempt from Reignover. Darshan knew Huni would have had backup. That's why he immediately went to retreat. This opens up a bit of an opportunity if CLG wants to control vision at Baron, because they'll know that Reignover would have to recall and then run all the way there.
Slowing down too much.
I don't know. This is the tense Immortals game that you rarely see. Normally they're just throwing caution to the wind, but they kind of realize that with the current power of Hui's the Blanc. The way CLG can just win a game off of one team fight because of constant split push pressure, Immortals has to be a little bit more choosy with their team fight this game.
Rainover definitely having one of his first difficult early games this time around, and then making a few plays that were a little erroneous. Getting himself killed all alone as he tried to help Huni in the bot lane. But there you can see how, kind of how strong that bond is, that synergy is, to help to have Rainover get to Huni.
Yeah,
sometimes bites him.
They didn't tilt. They were able to make a strong play right after that in the top lane. Keep Rainover in the game by getting some kills top. And now they're playing around Wild Turtle very heavily. Very heavily. Soraka, Lux can provide heals and shields. Bloodthirster as well, so it's a mix between damage and strong shielding from Wild Turtle.
They quickly find the items they need as well. We saw that BF sword just nearly a few minutes ago going into Turtle's inventory, but he made sure he got to the lanes and the resources to get that Bloodthirster as soon as possible. It stops him from getting zeroed out immediately. A little quick on the Cosmic Binding after Tempered Fate. Looks like everybody will disengage for now. Zion does have a pretty nice flank on the team if he can get to the right target. That's going to push off Smithy. Huni's just playing a bit of a nuisance.
Yeah, so much range on the Immortals team as well.
Yeah.
Unless Smithy closes within the Bard ultimate, he's not able to get in there without taking too much damage. And this is actually what CLG wants. It's just free time for Darshan to push down to the bottom lane and chip away at these kills.
That was a pretty quick lead from Darshan as well. To get here at this time, he left that fight early, so CLG called it off. They know what the priority is, and that's going to be Hui coming in. We talked about the squishiness of this team. It was Wild Turtle last time, and now it's Huni.
Nice shots from CLG, and this will just try and keep the pressure up. They actually have Smithy in the top lane with his, should be his Zara portal when he puts it down to keep that push going. Soon they'll have a banner on Aphromoo, and they're going to look to start the total pressure push and make it so Immortals can't group and get flanked for team fights.
That position where you start to choke the team out, recognize their openings, make sure they get none of them. A good laser from Pole Belter. They have good wave clear here, but that's not in every lane. Pole Belter is really what brings it to the table. And Darshan, in the eyes of Immortals, take down their inhibitor.
Oh, the Uter duel against Illusion, very slippery. Stixxay.
Stixxay.
Oh, what? Turtle is doing work this game.
Whoa!
Turtle fights off two people on his own and then cleans up the kill on Aphromoo on the backside. Oh, and Huni closes it too.
Wait a minute, I think Stixxay is alive on this one. Oh, I don't know, Smithy didn't want it. They said don't go and fight. No, Stixxay's out of mana.
Huni's got a lot of backup.
I missed that the first time. That's a dead Stixxay. He gets slowed down first by the Mystic Shot. These guys just need to try and get out. Stixxay helping. Smithy almost making it. Oh, he tries to back up, but it hits the tip of his nose. And Darshan is still having a party down here in the bot lane.
This is the game. We always praise Immortals for having so much map pressure, and every time you make a play, they're going to get a turret somewhere else. That's what CLG is doing this game to Immortals. And now, this game's about to accelerate and go real fast. We have Immortals doing Baron. Darshan is trying to end the game.
This is the most go-for-broke call I have ever seen. They want the minions to try and stop the push, but will they have the HP to even get Baron? Wild Turtle's going to go down here. He actually falls.
He's alive!
Turtle's alive! And Smithy's forced out this time. Darshan still dancing in the base. You can see Huni with him now, and Immortals will not be able to do Baron.
No, but they do win that trade.
Yes,
so
they killed Hui.
They win it in a sense. They'd already lost their inhibitor. So they're just like, all right, let's just do Baron. Force him. They send Huni back. They know he can't get Doban or double Nexus turrets, and then they actually peel off of Baron to get 2 kills. They could do the Baron because Soraka can heal for so much, so it's not a super punishing play. Holy crap, hard to keep up with.
No tank for them is definitely starting to come into play. Everybody on the team getting zeroed out, and they're being able to get an advantage off kind of the extended play, the end of the fight where CLG wants to be out. Immortals is finding their kills there. Very risky way to be doing things, but Immortals trying to keep that perfect record alive here. Still 7-7, and the gold lead is only 800 gold in the favor of CLG after all this. It's crazy. It's crazy to think it's still that close.
And Wild Turtle's getting very, very strong.
He is pretty much why that gold is so close. Like you said, fighting 2 people off, being much more controlled about what he's doing in the right positions at the right time. Things we really hadn't seen on past teams. It kind of fell away from his playstyle.
He's going to be going with an Infinity Edgeless build so far. or he will have no QSS. He's getting a lot of resiliency in this build right now with his Bloodthirster and his Hex Drinker.
Right.
If he does finish with an Infinity Edge, his damage would go really high, which is, I think, what he'll want to do, but that's kind of like the 6-item dream that's going to happen around 40 minutes. With this game, it could go that long. Just depends on how long Immortals can hold off against Darshan in the bottom lane, who is continually to tick as a time bomb.
Bloodthirster next for him. It's going to be a 2 or 3 shot Quinn going down at that point, because he's still trying to build damage himself. Holds off at the turrets. That's literally his saving grace right now. The rest of the team is fighting. He goes into bird mode, but he's still forced to face Darshan. A 4v4 situation here for Immortals and CLG as they dance back and forth, jockeying for that kind of Baron push attempt.
Yeah, and it was an attempted assassination from Huhi, which burned Adrian's locket and ultimate cooldowns.
Very good call. Something that's been keeping CLG from finalizing those kills is that last wish from Adrian, which is now on that CD. CLG can probably get some finalizing kills to look for that Nexus. Midwave's getting pushed up right now with Darshan's pressure still in the bottom, and they have Udyr still on that top lane. At any point, do you switch that with your Udyr?
At the moment, no, but I think they actually should, because Lucian is dealing with Udyr very well. Despite all of his move speed, Lucian is just at a very, very strong point right now, and there's not enough armor on Xmithie as of yet to deal with it. So they are trying to do 1-3-1. That's why we see Xmithie's farm going up so high. That's a lot of minion kills in that lane, because he has been the wave manager up top, and then it's Bard, Ezreal, and LeBlanc that are handling the mid lane. But at the same time, it's this constant pressure. If they get one kill, if COD can get one pick, I think everything Immortals is holding up will just collapse. So very close here.
Oh, Darshan has not done this yet. Now he's going under the turrets. This may have been the wrong call. The last few hits, he's going to be under the fountain now. So it's a back and forth. He wins so much damage on the turret, actually. That was for the turret with his life. And he actually gets out with that, too.
Wow, knowing your limits and then some for Darshan. Diving through double Nexus turrets and then having the greed to stay for the actual turret kill, getting it. That just means that what was Huni's safety is no longer his safety. If Darshan can do that with 2 Nexus turrets, he can more easily do that with 1. So it's the time bomb. It's just a matter of time if CLG keeps playing the same way and Immortals keeps playing the same way before CLG will win that trade. Therefore, Immortals has to take a bigger risk if they don't want to lose.
I gotta say, that's also, from personal experience, a hard thing to do, to stick with that win condition when, yeah, you're getting a bit more, but everything seems so even in that sense. Like, the fights are going both ways for a bit. Yeah, Darshan's winning bot lane, but it took them a while to get where they were there, but it was always working, and they were able to stick with that. They were able to keep that confidence in the call.
Yeah, the other way that they could turn it around, they're going hard for a fight because they know it's coming.
He goes back, actually out of the Equinox, but he's gonna go down. Doesn't make it over the wall, and Immortals gain a bit of ground champion-wise.
Yeah, this is the accelerating factor
even
right
more.
now. Darshan wants to try and end the game. Immortals is going for a 5v3 because there is no Darshan on the way. Stalling. It's all about stalling right now.
Perfect stall on the Tempered Fate for Baron. 3,400 there. Darshan is just about as close on the inhibitor. That's going to be the hit from Pole Belter.
Baron recalls
Baron is theirs. 4-second Baron recall. Pole Belter is going to be one of those guys going back to help. Fiora onto the turret. No. Huni is already back to save it. And now there's Baron minions they can hang out in the base with to push out the regulars coming in. Adrian getting stuck up by Afromu. Support wars here. Meeps versus Bananas. And it's going to be a tough one. The potion being healed up. The dance. The back. The camaraderie and the love. This is what we're all here for.
Oh, and this game is absolutely delivering on the hype on top of that. We said Immortals needed to take a bigger risk, but they ended up just getting a pick. A very good pick. Rainover flashed onto Huhi. I'll need to see that pick again because it felt like Huhi distorted back to his demise, but it might have been because Lucian was flanking him on the other side and he thought that was his only way out. But even so, they make the proper call to immediately go for Baron because if they can get the Baron, then they can use their empowered recalls to make sure Darshan doesn't end the game. If any of those things go wrong, if they don't win the smite battle against Xmithie for Baron, they lose. If they don't get the pick here, they lose. Yeah, if he gets Huhi on the chains, yeah, that was a big mistake by Huhi. He double tapped his distortion. He could have actually escaped that. So misplay by Huhi. He was pretty much safe once he distorted over the wall until he snapped back.
Fast fingers sometimes
Big
get in the way.
mistake right there.
So actually, these moments provide quite useful gear, having Huni being able to reveal all the vision they need. Makes it very safe. Can also help Reignover adjust for where the ultimates need to be if they want to start these fights. Right now, buying time. Still about buying time here for Immortals. They're going to be able to stop what could have been a 5-dragon rush here for CLG to get number, 4 in their first 35 minutes in.
Yeah.
And they have a gold lead now, 2,000 gold. They waited this whole time, only were really down 800 to 1,000, and now have that lead.
Absolutely right about that. Also, need to point out Pobelter's item build right now, huge amounts of ability power and a void staff, and there is little magic resist, no cleanses, and no Mikhails on the side of CLG. So if Pobelter does land a light binding on Huhi, Stixay, or maybe even Aframu, I think he kills him. 100-0, and that completely would crush CLG's split pushing opportunities. But we may be getting into a little bit of a race here. Very fast dude here.
That's a lock. After the vault, Mercurial Scimitar goes down. Huni is dead. The speed. The play is a counter logic gaming to go cross the lanes to the map, using it to take down the priority target for Immortals.
Wild Turtle was considering going for that push. He keeps faking his recall. The fact that Turtle had that position stopped the push from Immortals because they didn't want to just send one person back unless it's Darshan, who didn't have ultimate. And then they also didn't want to have a 3v4 without Darshan if they decide to finish the push without Baron.
These Tempered Fates have really been on. The last one onto Baron to stall that. This one to hit Huhi, or I keep saying it, Huni. What a fun game to cast. And get him in a really, really bad situation. So they have to be ready for that. And it's something they're hoping to do, is get those picks for themselves, kill off a few people, not have a Tempered Fate fly across the map and start the engage for CLG.
Yeah, and the Baron has happened, so now we're reset for the next time the Baron happens. Again, CLG is setting up the 1-3-1. This time, though, Xmithie has a little bit more armor. There is no Last Whisper item on Wild Turtle because he's gone for such a defensive build and he's trying to close with Infinity Edge. So Wild Turtle will be good at killing squishy targets, but not as good at killing Udyr, who just built a Thornmail. It's got to be close to 300 armor. 368 armor on Xmithie. Add on to the fact that his Turtle stance with ability power is a 252-point shield. You can multiply that by the armor, and it's about 900 effective health per Turtle stance that Wild Turtle has to cut through. Makes the 1-3-1 kind of devastating. Darshan is strong enough, or was strong enough, to dive 2 Nexus turrets onto Huni. Now there's only 1 Nexus turret. And previously, Immortals was holding off the other side of the split push with the Lucian, who may not be able to do that anymore since there was a Thornmail on the Udyr. Time, I feel like, is running out for Immortals, and they'll have to make another play.
67.3. Pretty much 4 or 5, tied up again as it ticks on either side. That inhibitor down and minions walking into the base now of Immortals over and over again, but they balance this game out on a knife's edge, basically. Somehow. Doesn't look like it on the mini-map, but they are trying to fight it that way. Reignover to the mid lane now. They start to split themselves a little thin. It should be safe for Wild Turtle to be top at this point, but when he leaves Adrian, it gets quite scary. We saw what even happened to Huni with the amount of speed he has. It's going to be a very touch-and-go moment here when the fight starts for Immortals. They have to get everything right.
Infinity Edge being completed on Lucian, that's such a tight battle that even with the Thornmail will be hard for either one to win. Looks like for now, Wild Turtle's able to hold him off, but with him holding him off, that's the main source of damage for Immortals that can't be in team fights. The game is kind of stalling until Baron comes up, actually, because that's going to be the big thing that draws people towards a conflict.
Minute and a half on it. It really gives Aframu a way to use the Bard ultimate if they can nail that. It seems like it would just be a scary situation for Immortals here. It's got to be scary for both teams. This is what we were talking about, these games that go very late. Now when something happens, it becomes much more impactful. There's turrets and inhibitors to be lost. They start falling quick.
And with how quick they fall, it makes picks even more important. And it's not like these teams lack the ability to create catches.
Yeah.
Huhi, actually not nearly as strong item-wise as Pobelter is right now. it's 1,000 gold more for Pobelth, where Pobelth are sitting on 550 AP, whereas Huhi is sitting on 382. And not nearing his death cap. He's going Zonias as well to try and kind of prevent getting one shot by the
Still
Lux.
about 600 gold for that death cap as well.
His defense against the Lux.
Sorry, Zonias.
Because if he gets Lightbound, he'd be able to Zonias, but he doesn't have it yet. Baron will be up before he's able to have that. Yeah, so aside from the Baron creating conflict, another thing that could potentially end the game is if CLG somehow sneaks through this bottom side where there's no wards, instantly kill Huni, force people back, then give Baron for the rest of the CLG squad. Oh, that was close. Lasers
down. Turtle forces the flash onto Stixay. Things that all work out nicely for Immortals.
The flank is here, though. LeBlanc is there to try and kill Huni on the other side while Immortals is doing Baron. CLG's going for the win in the bottom lane.
This is going to be very tough. They have now, they're organizing in conversation what to do on Immortal's side. It has to be the right one, as I said. Huni has already backed off. He doesn't even want to engage within range of these two members.
He cannot survive this. He cannot stop them without help because he's already used his QSS.
We're on to the Nexus. There's no Baron to have the backs in. CLG calls the audible on what was a three-man Baron play, but it wasn't the right call. Turtle gets back in time. The Nexus stays alive, and we're up to 60 seconds on timers.
We knew Huni couldn't stop it unless he gets help. Help arrived at the very last possible moment. Wild Turtle flashed to get in position that damage, but he got the damage. 2-for-1 kill trade for Immortals. They lose their next Nexus turret, but they're still barely alive.
Turtle raising hairs here with some great plays towards the end of the game. 10-11 as it's still even in gold after these fights. Two members are still down from CLG. Adrian waiting to come back up. Immortals will grab number 2. Basically getting themselves off the iron lung here, but still on it because that Nexus is wide open. If they can keep this push very far out and somebody hanging back, I don't know, how do you even defend this now?
Yeah, well, they know Huhi and Darshan are dead, and Wild Turtle kills Baron so fast. So Immortals is still going for Baron. The way they can defend is if they can secure this Baron, because that buys them more time.
Oh, Smithy, the time buyer of all time buyers. Can he do it? He's in there. It's the smite fight, 50-50. He steals it, and Counter Logic Gaming is very much still in it. Maybe on the path to victory with a follow-up fight. Reignover solo.
There's
Darshan flying in. Darshan TP'd, but he wasn't actually able to get Baron. He's onto the Nexus. Does it even matter that Smithy just came up that big? Yes, it does. What a barn burner. Darshan, a few more hits. He gets it to go down. 42 minutes on the clock. Counter Logic Gaming defeats Immortals.
The undefeated split is not to be, as Counter Logic Gaming, with a crazy ending. If that smite doesn't go through, Immortals gets empowered recall and can come back and stop him.
They're back.
Smithy steal.
Wow.
They knock over a chair in celebration. Second time's a charm for CLG in their matchup against Immortals.
We said the first one was on a thread. And this one, it was all in favor of Counter Logic Gaming. You can see Immortals knows where the pain points were in that game, and they started very early. We learned a lot about this game, that Counter Logic Gaming can hold a semi-lead, then a strong lead, and hold it. Immortals can also stand very tall in being down. But that took everything Counter Logic Gaming had today to take that game, and they really brought it to the table.
Yeah, we just saw half a smile on Reignover's face as well. He knew it was a good game, and they got their shots in. It's gotta feel tough. It's been nearly a year since Huni and Reignover have lost a regular season LCS game. And that's what it took. This is what it took. This is what it takes to beat Immortals, was 42 minutes. They were down in kills by the end of it. And it was completely deserved. CLG attacked Immortals where they were strongest and won, which is something I did not expect.
Perseverance pays off. Again, Stixay playing well. Huhi having crushing kills onto few members of the Immortals time and time again. Darshan again in a solo lane, basically controlling the game once they gave him a few of those resources. Once they got him that first kill, then a double kill came in because Reignover tried to make something happen. It seems like you give that guy anything and he can run away with it.
Yep,
Darshan
Darshan
played well.
on Fiora. It's why it's banned so frequently. But
Yep.
Huni has been able to take Quinn into that matchup.
That's true.
And win it consistently.
We've seen that.
Yeah, it just wasn't the case this game. Darshan had studied the matchup. He knew exactly what Huni was going to bring, and he got the jungle backup, right? He had Xmithy fast farming his jungle. I mean, it was all from the very start of the game. Gragas was slow on his first clear. He got harassed down at blue buff. That made Xmithy was first to bottom lane. And it just kept snowballing. It's so crazy how long CLG played that game in the same way in order to get the win.
An extremely long game. It just happened right now, though. However, we do want to get a replay of that game-ending push. A fantastic start, or end to a game, I should say here, where Darshan wasn't even there for the Baron. He just said, I know what I need to do.
Oh, my God.
Teleport and fly.
Yeah, he has home guards as well. And this is after the Baron has been stolen. So you can see on the minimap, Lucian and Lux are trying to run back, and Darshan doesn't care about anything else than this Nexus. Everyone using flashes to try and get in on him. And also, if he doesn't get it, Smithy was there. Smithy gets a shot in to the Nexus.
He's cruising down. You saw Wild Turtle right on his heels. And Counter Logic Gaming now with a bit of variety and spice to things in the jungle, things in the top lane. They may be preventing that mid-season slump, mid-split slump they always find themselves in, because this time they're not just saying we'll go back to comfort. They're saying, actually, let's kind of push ourselves a little bit and play what we've been working on still.
Exactly. And this is, it's interesting. The early game here was new from CLG, but the overall style was just tweaked a little bit. They had Xmithy as one of their 1-3-1 split pushers. Normally you'd see like the top laner and the mid laner doing that, and you'd have the jungle, but it created a new dynamic for them there. But at the core of it, it was still Darshan split pushing down at the end of the game, and their patience to play that move over and over again. They beat Immortals.
Beat Immortals, the undefeated team in the LCS, now with a loss, but another win in CLG's column. And for a deeper dive into CLG's win over Immortals, now we're going to head over to Dash and two of our winners.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. That's right. I'm here with the two members who were on the victory screen when you guys had that back door to close it out. First team to beat Immortals here and the undefeated streak. And it looks like second time is the charm. But I'm going to come to you, Darshan, because this is a huge victory, making gods bleed, essentially. How does it feel to know that you can contest against the top team in North America?
It feels pretty good, actually. I feel like we prepared really, really well for this match, and we showed that we're like one of the best teams in North America, if not like the best team. And I feel like we've just been training so hard, especially for this Immortals match, and I think we were more ready for it than they were.
Give me a sense, I'm going to come to Xmithy, give me a sense of this preparation that Darshan just talked about, because this is actually the second time that we saw you guys establish an early lead against the team. You're one of the few teams that has been able to do so. So what is it about your guys' prep and planning that allows you to establish these leads against the top-tier team?
Well, we prepared sort of like, we played like only like 2 or 3 champions, like every player. So I think we got our champions on lock. And also our strategy, like we just kept improving day by day. And yeah.
Speaking of which, champion pools, I just have to point out, last 5 games, including this one, you've now played 5 different champions, though. So you, as an individual, are showcasing an ability to expand your champion pool. We've seen everything from Elise to Rek'Sai, Nidalee, Gragas, and now the Udyr kind of out of nowhere. What's that experience been like for you this season, trying to increase your options, your level of options for the team?
Well, even before, I used to play a lot of champions, but it wasn't like up to par on like my core champions. So I tried to practice in solo queue, just like in game even, or like just watching other people play. That's how I improved pretty much every my champions.
All right, so we've gone through the practice, we've established the game plan, we secured the early lead like we wanted to and expected to. That same situation, though, presented itself the first time you played Immortals. And Darshan, I'm going to come back to you here because there was a little bit of overzealousness in the first game, which caused Immortals to have an opportunity to get back into the game. How did you guys make sure that you kept your mindset, kept the mentality of closing out this game this time when you established that lead?
Well, yeah, I think last time we played Immortals, actually, the main reason we lost is I actually I dove tier 2 and got us all killed. But this time, like, even though I got like a little hyphy, I kind of just like kept it down until the end of the game so that we could like focus up and like we still made a couple mistakes that I felt like we wouldn't have normally made because the pressure was high, but I feel like we really dialed it in towards the end of the game, and that allowed us to keep our composure.
Hard not to get excited when you get early 2 kills onto a Fiora, and then the game extends to a point where backdooring is an option at any point. You're solo splitting down that bottom tier turret.
I feel like I'm like the one who always ends up backdooring. Like out of like every pro in like the history of League of Legends, I've probably backdoored the most Nexuses.
Wait, I was there too, guys.
Yeah,
you're doing a great job too. But I'm always backdooring the Nexus at the end of the game.
Well, yeah, exactly. And you know, that pressure in the bot lane was obviously huge, and it forced Immortals into a lot of tough situations where they're trying to close out Barons in order to pull themselves back into the game. Clutch steal, Smithy. How did that feel in that moment, knowing that it was a 1v4, 1v5 situation, and you got in there to get that steal away?
I mean, it was kind of weird actually, because they were trying to rush it while like they were like still looking at me. So like I don't know what to do, if I was just gonna sit there or try to steal or like just to hit them. So I did both, and I just got a lucky steal.
All right, well, yeah, sometimes it comes down to that 50-50. It landed in your favor this time around. Now I want to go ahead and look forward, right? Because we've talked all about today, this race for second place and playoff picture and all of that. Well, you've taken down the #1 team. So you're 1-1 in the head-to-head record there. Probably not going to be able to catch them in the standings just as a result of their play. But moving closer and closer to that first round bye, I want to know, though, about these next 5 games, these next 2 weeks for you guys. What is your main goal in terms of focusing up and getting prepared for playoffs so that you can defend your title as champions in the LCS?
Well, we just have to make sure that we don't underestimate any opponent. Like, we're playing Cloud9 next, who's probably like the other best team in the league besides Immortals, and they've been looking really good recently. So I think we just need to make sure that we have a really good idea of what we're going to do in the game, and I think we'll be able to beat them.
All right, Smithy, do you got anything to add to that? It's particularly looking at Immortals and knowing that if you're going to win the NALCS again here in spring, you're probably going to have to do it against them or at least go through them at some point during playoffs. When it comes to those best of 5s, how do you think you guys can fare against a team that creates exciting games like this against you guys?
Well, for now, I think we should just look in every game like day by day. We shouldn't go for like we shouldn't go for the goal for the big win. I think we just go for like our next game and our next game so that like we can be consistent. And I think that's what we've been doing.
All right, keeping your wits about you, taking it game by game, step by step. Well, gentlemen, again, congratulations on a huge victory here today. It's got to feel good. I'm going to let you get back to your team so you can celebrate a little bit. We're only halfway through our Saturday broadcast, so don't go anywhere because when we return, Energy Esports will face off against Renegades. Stay with us.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I love League of Legends.
2v1, he knows he doesn't have the abilities to go back into the fight, and Rainover gets himself killed.
Okay, I'm gonna go behind him. Coming behind him still, the shot.
I'm gonna ulti first, okay?
Okay.
I ulti.
I'm gonna flash on him.
He's dead, he's dead, he's dead.
Next one, let's go.
Here comes Lex.
Careful, back up, back up.
Here comes Lex.
You guys back up.
End the game.
Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Go for the game.
Play, but was it the right call? Turtle gets back in time. The Nexus stays alive. He's onto the Nexus. Does it even matter that Smithy just came up that big? Yes, it does.
I'm gonna go.
We're coming.
Get the base.
42 minutes on the clock. Counter Logic Gaming defeats Immortals.